All right, good afternoon. Hello, hello, hello. I am Rochelle Lawson. So excited to be here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you see me looking around, I am live on multiple locations here. So thank you so much for joining me. This is At the Table with Rochelle, and I'm super excited to be here today. It's such a beautiful day. I thank God for today. Thank Him for the sunshine and for this opportunity to come and share with you guys. Super excited to be here. I hope that you are, if you are coming in the room, please let me know where you're coming from, what city and state you're dialing in to the room from. And if you're on the replay, just say hashtag replay. Let me know that you are watching it on the replay. So excited to be here. Today's topic is defining self-discovery. What is self-discovery really all about in a nutshell? So the other day we talked about the importance of self-discovery, and we defined self-discovery as an intentional journey. It's an intentional journey of gaining self-awareness, exploring your values, your passions, your beliefs, and understanding your true identity. That's, in a nutshell, the definition of self-discovery. And people may have their own different determinations of what self-discovery is, and we all have a different experience. We all have a different experience with self-discovery on our journey to self-discovery. And one thing that I like to note is that it is one of the singular most foundational parts of life is to discover who you are. Understanding the things that make you laugh, the things that make you happy, what makes you sad, what makes you angry, what makes you love, the things that you're passionate about, the things that you would do anything to have or to become, the things that your core values, the things that mean the most to you, that hold you, that ground you in your life, the things that give you purpose, the things that give you energy, the things that make you wake up and feel alive in this life, and the things that make you sad, the things that you would love to solve or resolve, the problems of our world that anger you or frustrate you, or, as they say, get your goat. And so these are all aspects of self-discovery, and being on the journey to self-discovery helps us to uncover and unpack all those things about ourselves. How many times have you been in a job interview or academically in a school interview, meeting with someone, and they say, tell me a little bit about yourself. And you list, your name, how many siblings you have, if you have children, what school you go to, hobbies that you have. So you list these things about yourself that sometimes are not really what they're looking for, right? So you might feel like, what is it that they want to know about me? What parts of me should I disclose to them? And so they may clarify the question and say, tell me your strengths and tell me your weaknesses. So those are particular parts of yourself that you would disclose to them. Now, what many people may not know, or you may know, is that there are multiple parts of the self. We're not just contained, in a container, one part of the self, and that's the whole part. No, there are multiple parts of ourselves, and there are parts of ourselves that we don't want other people to know about us, things that we know about ourselves that we don't want other people to know, and things about ourselves that we do want other people to know. There are parts of us that other people know that we're not aware of. I know that might be counterintuitive, but it's true. There are things about us that other people know and experience and engage with us that we don't know ourselves. And so it's important for us to understand that when someone asks us, what are your weaknesses? What are your strengths? These are things about you, characteristics about you that you want to disclose, that you want people to know, that you're comfortable with people knowing about you, that would present yourself in a good light, right? Especially if it's a job opportunity or another opportunity where you're selling yourself, which is relationships, right? We do introduce ourselves in dating relationships and other relationships to people that we want to know who we are, and we want them to know about ourselves. Is my microphone on? Can you hear me on YouTube? Okay, I think there it is. I'm sorry, I may have to go back and do that. So there are multiple parts to ourselves, and then we have to determine what parts of us we want to disclose and what we don't want to disclose. But the fact of the matter is, if you don't know enough about yourself because you haven't really discovered, or you know a few things about yourself, but not really enough. I know for myself, it used to be challenging for me to tell people about who I am in a job interview. Tell me what your strengths are. I think because I was always focused on my weaknesses, that I didn't really focus on my strengths. I didn't see myself as having strengths. I didn't understand that that things that I did were considered strengths, right? And so I didn't know how to compartmentalize those correctly, and then how to disclose those to other people. So I always thought kind of negatively about myself, and so I would always think about weaknesses. So I learned how to think about my weaknesses in a positive way. So how can I flip this and make that a strength? Because there are strengths to those weaknesses, right? And that's still a part of who I am. And so, in any event, though, those are some of the aspects of self-discovery that I want to talk about today in defining self-discovery. We talked last time about why it's important to get on the journey to self-discovery. If you're not, or you haven't been, or you're unsure about yourself, then you want to get on the journey to self-discovery so that you can find freedom, so that you can find peace, you'll find hope, you'll get clarity in your life as it relates to your academic studies, as it relates to your career, your relationships. Like, every area of your life is affected by who you are. Every area. We can't go into certain areas of our life, and we can't go into certain relationships and leave parts of us away, right? We can't leave parts of us at home. Like, we're taking ourselves. All of ourself is coming to this interaction, unless we have a representative, which is a farce. I mean, a fake part of us, or a farce. Or maybe we send an imposter, right? Which is that part of us that we want people to think we're a certain way, but we're really not who that is. So it's kind of like that imposter. Or it's our representative, who we want people to think we are. Or our sorry. Or our authentic selves, right? Which is our pure, natural, straightforward, this is who I am, bottom line person, right? And so understanding that helps you to understand that it's important that you know and you take the time to discover yourself intimately, because it affects every relationship that you have. And I know that sometimes we don't think about, in terms of self-awareness, we don't think that what we do affects other people, but it absolutely does. What we do affects every environment that we're in. We are human. We have the power of words. We have the power of our presence. We have a spirit. And everywhere that we go, we impact change in an environment. You can walk in a room and you can feel energy. And when you walk in a room, you might lift the spirit. You might lift the energy in the room. How so? Because of your presence, right? So everything about us affects every relationship, every interaction and situation we're in, right? We might want to believe that people be tripping by themselves and they took that bus trip by themselves, but really we are a part of it in some way, whether we like to believe it or not. Okay, so self-discovery is an important foundational part of our lives. It is really the most foundational part of life is discovering who we are. If you think about, and I talked about this last time, if you think about babies in infancy, as they are, learning to move their muscles in their hands. Of course, they don't know that these are hands, but they look at them and they explore them. They put them in their mouths so that they can engage with them, their feet and their toes and their legs. They see a smiling face come to them and they respond back, moving the same muscles, and they respond. They are discovering themselves, right? In that same way. So as babies discover themselves in the natural, like physical, we should also discover ourselves intimately, like in our personalities. Who am I? Like, who am I? Because I know I'm not that person, and I know I'm not that person. I'm not my mother, my father, my sister, my brother, my uncle, my auntie, my grandma. So who am I? And what am I supposed to do? What do I give to the world? How am I different in this family? What sets me apart? What makes me unique? What makes me different? And why am I different? Why am I different? If it's good or bad, we want to know, what difference do I make? And so, because oftentimes the thing that makes us different, especially in our families and in our friend groups sometimes even, the things that make us different, that separate us, are the things that make us stand out in the world, right? And that's where our greatest impact sometimes comes. And so understanding that and being accepting of it and then learning to embrace it is a critical part of living your best life, right? On purpose, with intention, a purposeful life. I know who I am. I've embraced who I am, and I love myself, and I look for opportunities to continue to grow and become the better version and the best version of myself every day, in every relationship, in every interaction that I have, at the bank, at the grocery store, at the car wash, at work, with my friends, in relationships, at school with my teachers, with my bosses, whomever I'm interacting with, my children, family, whatever. I'm looking for an opportunity to grow and become a better version of myself as I come to understand more about myself. Okay. So I want to explain the importance of self-reflection and introspection. Now, some people are more or less introspective and self-reflective than others. These are called low self-monitors or high self-monitors. Is a theory about that. But in any event, though, I tend to be what I consider a high self-monitoring person. I'm highly self-aware. I am very introspective, almost to a fault. I spend a lot of time thinking about myself, my interactions, what I could have done differently, what I could have said better, what made things work out the way that they did, good, bad, or indifferent, right? So I'm oftentimes reflecting at the end of the day or at the end of an interaction or conversation about what I did well, what I could do differently, what I should do next time, how I can grow in this area if it's an area of weakness for me. And so self-reflection is a key part of becoming self-aware and learning to master yourself, right? Like becoming a master of yourself. And so I'm going to talk about things that we can do to look inward and become more self-aware. First of all, understanding this: everything that you do affects someone else. Everything you do affects someone else. Whether it's directly or indirectly, it has an impact. As I said before, we are created in the image and likeness of God. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. We have the one gift that we have that's so powerful in God's creation that other species do not have is voice. Our mouths, the ability to talk and communicate verbally in humanity. That is a powerful gift. And words have so much power. As you express them, they manifest. When God said, "Let there be light," and there was light, He created us in the same image not only in that way, but in that way, He created us in His image and His likeness. And so we have the same capacity to speak and things become. So this idea of self-fulfilling prophecy and manifestation and all that kind of stuff comes from that spiritual idea that God spoke, "Let there be," and there was light. Let there be light, and there was light. And so what we speak into our own lives manifests in the same way. And so understanding that everything that we say and everything that we do, that we give voice to, that we have opinions about, that we can speak life to, that we can engage in and grow in relationships, is one of the most powerful foundational gifts that God has given us. The gift of voice. Your voice, and hear me intuitively, is powerful. It's valuable. It's necessary. The world needs to hear your voice, your story, your heart, your honesty, your passions, the things that are important to you, that are valuable. You're necessary, and your voice is necessary. It is the primary way that we express ourselves, our hearts, our ideas, our loves, our frustrations, our needs, right? If you're freezing cold to the point of hypothermia, is that what it's called? No. If you're freezing cold to the point of hypothermia or frostbite, right? If you don't open your mouth and speak your voice, how else will you be heard? It's life-saving. It's also life-giving. And it's also death-giving. Because scripture says life and death are in the power of the tongue. And so it both gives life, and it also can create death or bring about death. So the words are powerful. It's a powerful gift that we have as a part of our identity as humans. So one thing I want to say is that as you think about your emotions and your experiences that lead to how we gain insight and understanding about who we are, we have to know that this can be a challenging process, right? Because introspection and self-discovery goes back to childhood, really. It goes back to the point of your beginning, your family of origin, where you began in life, the things that you did that came to you very naturally, the things that you were attracted to as a child. And sometimes those experiences are amazing and wonderful for people, and they have vivid memories of them that give them goosebumps, that make them feel so nostalgic, right? Riding your bike with your friends, or playing jump rope with your friends, or sitting on your dad's lap, or making brownies with your mom. And you had all these wonderful experiences, playing jacks with your friends, or jumping rope, playing with dolls, or building things, playing in a dollhouse, or building a dollhouse, or whatever things you did. Those things are a part of your natural identity, because before you were shaped by the world and influenced by expectations of people, you just existed. And in that existence, there was no influence. It was just who you are naturally. And the scripture says to train up a child in the way that they should go, or according to their natural bent, which means what they naturally lean towards. And so in childhood, early childhood, we can see those characteristics that come out in children, like, talkativeness or quietness, loving to read, spending time alone, creative in drawing, music, artistic ability, writing, all those kinds of things, drawing, sketching, whatever things where people like to look at the stars, so they're scientific in that way. So whatever the things are that we did as children, very young children, before we were influenced by our parents' expectations and their unlived lives and those sorts of things, we just were. It was a part of our being. And so for some people, though, that experience may not be as joyful. The memories may not be as happy, of course. And so it can be painful, it can be challenging to dig into those places if there has been any level or measure of trauma or abuse or neglect or anything like that. And so I always encourage people, and I do myself, to use a journal to write out your experiences and what you do remember about yourself as much as you can. It may require therapy, though, which is a good thing. Sometimes we have to seek help outside of ourselves, but ultimately, and primarily, we need to pray and ask God for direction. He will give us direction. He will open up those doors for you. He will help you to see the things that you need to see about your experiences. He can open up those parts of our subconscious mind that have created blocks and boundaries so that we don't recall the things that may have caused us great pain and that sort of thing. And so if you do use a journal, I totally encourage you to do that and to make a list of, if you can, 100 characteristics about yourself. And think about the things that you did when you were a young child and make a list of all of those things. Did you play with paper dolls or Barbies? Or did you play with cars and trains? Did you love airplanes? Did you dream about being able to fly like a bird? And then, so what are the things that define you in your earliest memory and through your childhood? And make a list of 100 things. That is what I encourage people to do in the very, very beginning on their journey to self-discovery. Okay. And if you need support with that, please, you can always DM me. But I also encourage you to seek professional help if you need a counselor or if you're in therapy with someone, and let them help you unpack those experiences to dig into self-discovery. But I can help you with that as well. All right. What else do I want to say? So some specific examples. So in order for us to, some of the ways that we can get on this journey to self-discovery, as I mentioned before, is being mindful, which is an act of being present in the moment, allowing your emotions to kind of guide you, whatever you're feeling, whatever you're thinking, being present in the moment and not discounting what you feel or discounting what you think, but being present in that experience. Also, to use your journal. Journaling is a powerful tool where you're writing in your quiet time and space the thoughts and feelings that you have inside. And so asking yourself some very specific questions. For example, what does self-discovery mean to me? Do I know who I am? Do I love myself truly? And how do I know that I do? What makes me happy? Truly makes me feel loved? What makes me angry? What makes me sad? Right? So just ask yourself these kinds of questions and begin to unpack that in your writing. It's a way of healing. It's a way of expressing yourself, just like I talked about voice being one and expressing it orally, but also in writing. So journaling, being mindful, and then also prayer, of course. And God will reveal things to you about yourself that you never thought was significant. You may know about things, right? Like you might know that things have happened or you've had experiences, but to know that it's significant is another thing. And God can show us who we are, what experiences we've had, what people have impacted our lives in various ways to cause us to become or to feel or to be a certain way. And so prayer, meditation, of course, journaling, and also seeking guidance from a coach like myself or a therapist if you need that deep inner work. All right. So I want to just talk about quickly the power of self-discovery. And on the last call, we had a few people sharing their own transformation, their transformative stories, and how they came to know themselves. So I'll just share a little bit about myself. When I was a young girl, I always questioned life. And I know that sounds very, I don't know, for a 12-year-old, or that's when I think I remember that's my first memory. I think I was about 12 years old, maybe even younger than that, where I remember thinking, what is life really all about? And it's got to be more to it than this, because this is not it, right? This ain't it. I mean, there was no misery in my childhood or anything like that, but it just wasn't everything. I was bored. Honestly, I was bored a lot. And so I spent a lot of time alone. I'm the youngest of 8 children, and my siblings are much older than me, and so are my parents. I mean, they were much older when I was born, and so I was alone with older parents who were pretty settled in their lives, and I spent a lot of time by myself. As an extroverted child, as an extroverted person, I thought I was shy, but I was never shy. I was just lacking confidence, and I was insecure because I had never been affirmed. I didn't know who I was, so I didn't have people speaking into my life. And so at 12 or 13, I remember asking those questions of life and beginning to get on the journey to self-discovery, trying to figure this thing out. Through my young adult years, I came to know Christ. I accepted Christ, and then joined a youth group and joined an Upward Bound program in my city, and that was amazing for me. Also, I was in band, which was like incredible. I was musically inclined. I played 4 instruments. Absolutely loved it. That was fun. It was safe for me. It was an opportunity for me to grow and become free in myself and get on my journey to self-discovery. But I experienced a lot of challenges in that time period. I made a lot of mistakes, a lot of poor choices. It led to a lot of pain, a lot of regret in my life because of what I did not know. And so when I was about 21 or 22 years old, I said, okay, I've got to make some changes, because this is not the direction that I want to go in my life. I had made this plan to go to college. I was going to be a math instructor at a college level, collegiate level. I wanted to be a math teacher and get my PhD and teach, and then get married and have kids. And that didn't happen. Right? Got to college, struggled through math, and I was like, okay, this is not the same math as the math that I was doing. So this math ain't mathin'. As they say, the math ain't mathin'. And so I struggled through that, and I said, okay, so I got a 2-year degree and in education. And then I said, okay, I got pregnant with my son, my 2nd year of school. And then I started taking this class at my church on destiny. It was like the path to purpose and destiny. And that's when I got on this journey. And I thought, man, this is amazing. I had no idea that all of this, understanding or ways of knowing and being and becoming were available to me. And I was so intrigued by it. I changed my major in school. I understood more about myself as a communicator, the way that God created me, why he created me, the gifts that he gave me. And I was like, this is amazing. And I was like, so I don't have to do that anymore, and I don't have to do that anymore, because that's not who I am. And so instead of me trying to fit into places that I didn't fit, I just stood in where I stood tall in who I was and was free in that. And it is so liberating and so empowering to understand and know your gifts and your quirks and the things that make you who you are, uniquely you, that when you embrace them, even when other people don't, even when other people expect you to be different, you say, no, that's not who I am. And I understand that, and I accept that, and I embrace that. So, understanding that other people will box you in and try to force you into, to be like them, or to look like whatever the status quo is, or whatever that group of people are doing, and whatever. But I understand that when you understand people, when you have knowledge about people and our differences and our differences and our variations, that you learn to value people for who they are, and understand that we're like a puzzle. As the scripture says, we are every joint supplies. So every joint supplies the needs of the body. It's a whole body. So if you picture an image of a body with the head and the shoulders and all that, we are the head, the shoulders, the hands, the feet, the legs, the arms of God. And so we're like a puzzle, and we all fit together. And I don't need to be the hands, because I am the eyes. And the eyes can't do what the hands do. And the hands can't do what the feet do. So I respect the feet for what they do. Every time I stand up, I respect my feet. And when my ankles hurt, I respect it even more. Right? I understand the value of my brain and my thoughts and my mind and how I understand things. And I respect other people who think differently for the same reason. And because I understand that, I don't box people in to try to be like me, but I allow people to be free. I open the door and hold space for others to be free in who they are when they understand that authentically, and just to walk in that authority. It is so liberating and empowering in your true self, not in your broken self, not that self that says, this is just who I am, with that attitude, like that's just who I am. You deal with that. No, not that self, because that self sounds broken. It sounds hurt. It sounds wounded, right? So that's not authentic. But I mean the pure, authentic self, the self that's at peace, the self that's fully embraced and empowered, that self, right? And so coming to a place of self-awareness is liberating. For me, it created an awakening to freedom, purpose, healing, boldness, confidence, sure-footedness in your life. You make decisions without question when you understand who you are. You can do that with confidence. You have peace. When I tell you, the peace that you have in understanding who you are on this journey to self-discovery, and self-discovery is a journey of understanding yourself toward then understanding your purpose. So first is, who am I? And then what am I supposed to do with who I am? Why am I here on this earth? What is my purpose for being here? What am I supposed to do? What impact am I supposed to have? What influence am I supposed to create for the people who are called to me? Why am I connected to these people specifically? And why was I born into this time as opposed to previous decades or previous centuries? Why am I here? And what impact am I to have? And then how do I connect with people and relationships to help me do that? That is the connection between the three: identity, purpose, and relationships, and healthy relationships ultimately. So the measure of peace that you have in understanding your identity and having that self-discovery, oh my gosh, is immense. You cannot, if you are frustrated in your life because you hate your job, you hate the relationships that you have are rocky, you're like, there's got to be something else, because this is frustrating, right? Like, I've been here, frustrating with life. What do I need to do? Well, you can create your environment. Okay, how do I do that? I don't even know what's supposed to be in my environment, because if you don't understand who you are, then you don't understand what you need from relationships or from your environment. You also don't know what you bring to relationships or to environments, right? And so if you know that everything that you do affects your environment, like everything you do, what you say, what you think affects your environment, directly or indirectly, it affects people, it affects your situation. If you're always talking about you broke and all your friends are broke, then guess what? You spoke that and you live in that, and that's where you are. So that's an example. So the measure of peace that you have when you understand your identity and get on this journey to self-discovery is priceless. You can sleep better at night when you accept who God has created you to be and understand who you are as an individual wholly. And then other people, then, as you love and embrace and accept yourself, you can teach other people how to do that as well. You'll engage with them differently. You'll be empowered. You'll be like giving people compliments. Like, some people won't apologize. They don't take ownership. They don't give compliments. And it's like, why not? Why does that take anything away from you? What does it take away from you to give me a compliment? Insecurity. That's what that is. Insecurity in who you are, unsure of who you are, does not allow you to apologize when you're wrong, to give a compliment to someone else, to shine a light on them. Why? Because it takes away from you. But it shouldn't take away from you. If you understand who you are, you know who you are, it takes nothing away from you. It only gives to someone else, and it only sharpens your relationships, your interactions, and it empowers you, because it feels really good to give people compliments and to support other people and to help them grow, tell them things about themselves that they didn't know that are good, or how they impacted your life, how they support you. That's amazing. I feel so incredibly good when I have an opportunity to sow into somebody's life with my gifts. And when they tell me the impact of that, thank you. I give God glory. You know why? Because I know, I know it's the gift that God gave me for you. And so I know that it impacted you, because it's who God sent me to be for you. And so I'm not surprised. I am a little bit. It's humbling. But at the same time, I know it's amazing. This is how we do life together. It is how we do life together. So your journey to self-discovery is powerfully important and foundational, not a single area of your life. Every relationship, at work, with your kids, with your classmates at school, with your co-workers, with people in the street, strangers, whoever you're interacting with and engaging with, is affected by you. We see so much pain in the world right now. Post-pandemic, it seems like it's hyper pain. Like, people are more and more angry, more and more frustrated, more dissatisfied, and it's painful to see and experience. And I think, man, how do we just not value life so easily? How do we just not value life so easily? I can't conceptualize that, because I I understand that life is not mine to give or take, right? God is the giver of life. He gives life. He gives life, and he can take life. It's not my. I just can't understand how people can just hurt other people and take life, cut life away, devalue life. And we see it more and more. Maybe it's just because we have so much access to social media, news, and television, internet, and all that stuff. Maybe that's the reason why. And I know that that's part of it. Like, as with the advent of technology, the more and more we have access to news and information. I mean, I grew up in the 70s, so, I know what was on television back in the 70s. It was Alton Coleman and Deborah Brown. And it was the first time I had ever heard news. I might have been around 9 years old, I think. It was the first time I had ever heard news, because I was a child and I stayed outside playing. And I heard about these people who were going around killing people. And I thought, who are these people? And I remember sleeping in my parents' bedroom on the floor next to their bed because I was afraid of what I had heard. That's the only time I had heard anything like that, when I was a kid coming up. And now it's pervasive. And it's also in video games and all that kind of stuff. And so, the more we become, the more access that we have to the world and all the things that are happening, I think that's part of it. But I also believe that it's happening more. I do believe that it's happening more. God has a purpose. And I'm going to say this before I end. We have a responsibility to understand, figure out who we are in him, our identity in our Creator, because the Creator created us and we are like him. So we can't know ourselves and understand our identity aside from him. Facts. Hashtag facts. Believe what you want to believe, but that's the truth. You can't know yourself outside of your original Creator. I can take my car to a seamstress and ask for her to look at my car and tell me what's wrong with it. She makes clothes. She can't do that. She did not design the car. So she doesn't have insight, knowledge about this car, its functionality, how to fix it, how to undo what's wrong with it, the purpose for the specific parts in it. She doesn't have that knowledge. You can take your car to a, what do they call it? Like the people who work on boats, a boatman, a boatman. Same thing. He might work on similar types of vehicles, right? It's a boat has an engine, like a car has an engine, but he doesn't have yours. He doesn't know your specific one. So why would you take your car or take your life to someone to have them tell you what you're supposed to do and who you are without them being the one that created you? How do they know? They only have so much insight. I can help you so far. I can give you the tools. I can give you the tools and I can give you the insight the Holy Spirit gives me for you in your life, but it is your journey. But what I will say though, it is also your responsibility, because we are not here just to play games and just to be, in life, to get the job, to have the kids, the house, the dog, to travel and die. That's a part of living, but that's not why we're here. That's not purpose, right? Those are benefits. It's not purpose. And you are necessary. I said that at the beginning of this live stream. I'm saying that again. You are necessary. You have an impact to make in the flow of the river of life. And if you don't throw your pebbles, if you don't cast your stones, if you don't open your mouth, if you don't use your hands, whatever part of the body you are, your head, your mind, your heart, your feet, your hands, your eyes, whatever the gifts are that you have that you are to give to the world, if you don't do that, then the ripple in the water doesn't change the current. You are necessary. And so I want you to get on a journey with me. I want you to get on the journey and allow me to support you if you would like to. I would love to have you. There is a link in the bio. You can click on the link tree, linktr.ee/Rochelle Lawson. I have created a course. It's a mini course, free to be your authentic self. And I would love to have you come and join me on this journey to self-discovery. In this course, you're going to unpack, you're going to increase your self-esteem, you're going to increase your self-knowledge, you're going to unpack your identity, your values, your passions. We're going to dig into those things. You're going to get more clarity about your identity and who you are, and also some understanding about what your passions are, right? Passions and purpose are not the same. In my definition, passion is what wakes you up in the morning and gets you going. It's the energy. It's the thing that drives you. Passion is a driver. Purpose is a destination. So those are two different things. Passion can drive you and lead you to the destination, but they're not the same. So you're going to discover passions. You're going to discover some of your passions. You're going to discover your values, your core beliefs, the things that ground you in life, why you are the way you are, why you don't do things differently, what you love and what you hate, what you're supposed to solve in the world based on what frustrates you the most. Everyone has a solution to a problem. We all do. And we need your solution. Click the link and join me. If you have any questions, you can DM me or back channel me on Clubhouse. I would love to support you and get on this journey with me. It is amazing, the discovery of yourself. One of my coaches told me some years ago, she said, it's so important for us to become masters of ourselves. We try to control everybody else. You can't control them. Girl, you can't make that man do nothing. You can't keep nobody who don't want to be kept. Okay, I know my language changed. Y'all hear that? You can't keep nobody who don't want to be kept. You can't. You can't force him to stay. You can't force her to stay. You can't force her to change. You can't have 5 babies and that's going to make him different. Being a parent will make him different, but that's not going to make him stay. You cannot force people to be who you want them to be. We can't. But you get on the journey to self-discovery, understand yourself. You can master yourself. And you are responsible for yourself. Everyone is. Right? So, one question that I would like to ask you guys, and you can comment in the comments if you'd like to. Let me see if there's any comments here on Clubhouses. I don't have anyone on Facebook or on YouTube, but that's okay because we are live still. Oh, Katrina's here. Hey, Katrina. Yes, so Katrina, do you have any thoughts or questions about anything that we shared today? Would you like to comment? Are you available? One question that I would ask today, and you can comment in the comments, is what is your self-discovery? What does self-discovery mean to you personally? If you could define it in your own words based on your experiences and your understanding, how will you define self-discovery? And also, have you ever engaged in self-reflection and introspection? As I talked about earlier, how introspective I am as a person, and I have always been. It's part of my nature, and I've been aware of that for a long time. Are you self-reflective? Are you introspective? Do you know that who you are and what you do affects people? When you had that little baby and they wearing those those hard bottom shoes, your babies, when they first start walking, and you get the hard bottom shoes and they step on your feet, does that affect you? Man, when I tell you, when they snatch your earrings off your ears, they didn't realize that it was an ear connected to what that silver thing that they wanted, and they snatch it, and they didn't realize that what they do affects you. Right? But it does. It does. So we're in this together. Katrina, do you have anything? Oh, you put it message. Okay, not today. All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, if you're watching this on a replay, feel free to comment. Feel free to comment and answer the questions in the chat if you'd like to. Join me back here again. I am live 3 days a week at least, and Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. What's today? Today's Wednesday. Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. Join me again. I'd love to see you here, and I want to connect with you. I'd love to support you and work with you. So please click the link, linktr.ee. That's Linktree/Rochelle Lawson, and click the link for Free to Be Your Authentic Self. That course is available to you. There are other things that are available to you, but that is what I'm offering to you today. I'd love to have you join me. I do have limited seats available, but I'd love to have you. So click on the link and let's connect. On our way out, may the peace of the Lord be with you. May God's blessing shine upon you. May his face shine upon you, and may he be gracious to you. Blessings, peace, and love. Bye-bye.